So, on the top table, we have Jake Mondello, Grixis Delver, versus Kevin King, piloting lands. Standard table, Rachel Otto is playing Green Red Monsters, Dan Jessup's playing Sultai Energy, but the middle seat is going to be a battle of some three-color decks. It's Jeskai Control versus Grixis Shadow, and really, what I'd say are some of the strongest players here in the middle seat.
Mm-hmm.
Ben starting on Colonnade. He does have one Nahiri in his deck, able to get to the one of Torrential Gearhulk, if he can get it up to Ultimate. No Emrakul.
I love that progression. When Nahiri the Harbinger first hit the scene, there were all these 4 Nahiris, 1 Emrakul decks. Now it's 1 Nahiri for 1 Torrential Gearhulk.
Yeah. Now that means that half the time, though, when you ult the Nahiri, it's not sure whether or not the Torrential Gearhulk will even be in your deck. I suppose you can get Snapcaster Mage anyway.
Yeah. That's fine.
Yeah, not exactly half time. It's actually more likely than not to be in your deck. I have to correct my own math there. It's probably like 2/3 to still be in your deck, something like that. Search for Escant at turn 2 from Ben Stark. One of his few tap-out plays. And Andrew will stubbornly deny the search.
That's a nice hit.
Yeah.
Search has really overperformed Standard and Modern. We even saw it in Legacy.
Yeah.
Being able to filter your draws every turn and then eventually just start generating card advantage. Really powerful enchantment. Now we'll see if Jessup can start setting up his proactive game plan. You do want to win rather quick in this matchup. Worth noting that he has some pretty bad cards in his main deck. He's already drawn 1 copy at least of Fatal Push. You see him Thought Scouring over a Dismember there.
Yeah.
Those do not line up well against the 4 creature.
It's going to shock. Maybe he can make a Tasigur here. He has 5 cards in the graveyard.
That would demand an answer pretty quick.
No, it's going to be the Serum Visions. He found that one off of Thought Scour. And 2 cards at the bottom. He might still be looking for a threat. I know you've played some Grixis Shadow. How do you feel about your Jeskai Control matchup? Keeping in mind, this is the do-nothing build.
Don't love the matchup. Kind of the more do-nothing they are, the worse it is for the Shadow deck.
Sure, you don't care about Geist of St. Traft, but you do care about just more removal.
Right. Also, just Supreme Verdict is absurdly good against you.
I bet Nahiri's actually playable, pretty decent in this matchup from their side.
It's not bad. If you're not able to hit him in one shot with the Shadow, you just Nahiri it away.
Back over to Jessup, plays a land, and he actually just has to pass, and Ben's going to be very happy with that.
This is the kind of start that really favors the Jeskai Control deck.
Another land for Jessup. He's not going to utilize his lands as well as Stark. He doesn't have cards like Celestial Colony. He's really hoping to end the game with about 4 lands. He'll start with Inquisition of Kozilek. We'll get our first look at Ben's hand.
In theory.
He does. Yeah, he has 1 main deck negate. That could work here. And he actually has 3 main deck Logic Knots. He's going to Logic Knot for 3. He delves 2 and taps 1, so that's going to make it uncounterable, or make it resolve. Counter the Inquisition.
Disguising your hand can be pretty valuable. If he has just like 1 Path to Exile for interaction with a potential Death Shadow, you do want to fight over that.
Yeah, Andrew's going to fetch Shock, so now he's at 12. His Death Shadows can enter, though he has to watch out. Any Death Shadow with only 3 toughness has got to be a concern.
And Jessup pretty heavy on lands, actually.
Yeah.
2 more lands in hand. But yeah, at this point in time, Stark does have access to Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix that could just clean this Death Shadow up.
Well, he made a Bloodstained Mire, so he could make it a 4/4. And Ben only has 1 red source at the moment, so it's safe from the burn.
Yeah, Jessup's going to want to leave that up
Yes.
for the immediate future.
Yeah, if he even cracks it on Ben's end step, then his Shadow might just get tagged.
Right. If he has like a Street Wraith in hand, that does change things a little bit.
I like that how Street Wraith is just this, doesn't even use the stack to grow your Death Shadows. Just, you know, there's no counterplay to it. It just hides out.
Pretty powerful card, that Street Wraith. We didn't think so when it came out.
Anything that is a 0 mana cantrip is probably powerful. Just anything.
And you do see Jessup not cracking that fetch land there, leaving it up, respecting a potential lightning bolt or helix.
Game 1 is in. Kevin King takes it over Jake Mondello. Lands is up. King, of course, another player trying to go back-to-back. He was on the winning team from last week.
The lands deck finishing the first game. Never used to see that.
Well, it depends. If you get an opponent who just like
Conceded.
conceded, you're like, yeah, I don't want to do this.
Right. This is miserable. I'm going to the casino.
And you see Andrew searches up a basic swamp. That's because there's only actually 6 mana producing lands in the deck. If he's searching up this basic swamp,
It's not good.
well, was that or Steam Vents? That means Steam Vents is in his hand, you think?
Could be in his hand. Could be that he wants to leave up the mire for it as a trick. Maybe he's bluffing and trying to get Stark to use a lightning bolt on the shadow.
If Steam Vents is in his hand, that actually means the second Bloodstained Mire in play is not a real land. He would have nothing to find with it.
It's a +1/+1 pump spell.
Yeah. Path to Exile from Stark. And that'll work. See whether or not Andrew, yeah, he did not, he failed to find here. Checked, he does have the island. It's in his list,
Yep,
but he
it's
did not
there.
get it.
Yeah, it's not one that you cut.
Great.
Drawing a lot of lands.
Yeah, it's in his hand.
Gross.
There it is. And this is one of the, I think, the weaknesses of the Shadow deck, and you see it a lot of times. When players get all 6 of their lands in play, they rarely win.
Right. So they're not activating Tasker with that mana.
No, and Ben's going to get to clean up from here.
Might take some time, but yeah. Won't be hard to close the game.
And you figure that this is a kind of matchup where Ben's going to need to win. Grixis Delver against lands, especially when down a game, is not going to be favorable for his team. We've seen Green-Red Monsters versus Sultai Energy already once today, and it looked pretty good for the Energy deck. Certainly close. So a win here seems pretty big for their team.
Yes. Things should get better for Mondello in the sideboard games against King, but you don't like starting down one.
And we go over to our standard. We have a result there. And yeah, Sultai Energy, still good. Scarab God, still good. It is Dan Jessup taking game 1.
That Scarab God card's mighty powerful.
I like that Green Red Monsters is seeing play. I don't know that I like mid-range decks right now that aren't playing the Scarab God.
Yes. They have some nice tools. Rekindling Phoenix, that's a card we've seen be pretty impressive.
Yeah, Jade Light Ranger, new addition, seems great.
It's just so hard to pass on the Scarab God. That's a card that just comes down and wins games by itself.
We see Rachel Otto's actually playing the build with 2 copies of Galta Primal Hunger in it as well. Fatal Push from Andrew Jessup. So what's better than just drawing all the lands in your deck is some multiple fatal pushes against Jeskai. Andrew's draw has not given him the tools to compete here.
His hand just doesn't actually do anything.
He's got more fetch lands in it.
Well, just that.
That's great.
Can deal more damage to himself, but only a little bit.
Yeah. Is that another Fatal Push you just drew?
That wouldn't be great.
So his hand is just 2 more Fatal Pushes and more fetch lands? This is... I mean, okay. Well, at least you get this one out of the way. You're going to just get all your bad draws, concentrate them all in one game.
Right. Don't want to see anything like this in game 2 or 3.
Ben, he's not a shrug on his side. He has to just keep passing. See, now he starts to go to work. I'll Lightning Bolt you.
I'm pretty sure Ben gets to keep passing.
Lightning Bolt, Torrential Gear Hulk.
Can't stubborn denial this one.
Bolt again. Bolt again.
Path
Bolt
my
again.
Gear Hulk. Send the message.
This is my end step ramp spell.
Ramp and growth. My turn.
6 mana with flash. Great.
Stubborn denial your flashback Lightning Bolt.
Okay, I mean, that works.
Chump block your Torrential Gear Hulk.
That is what he's doing. He's stubbornly denying the lightning bolts. I cannot feel good about that. I mean, just the Celestial Colonnade with Andrew at 8 is a concern right here.
That one you can Fatal Push. So, you know, there's that. The Colonnade, just make it a 4/4. No restriction on targeting lands with the push.
No.
Can't say the same with the Torrential Gearhulk.
I like that from Ben's side. I assume you've done so little. I just have to think that there's some fatal pushes left in your hand. Andrew will block and dismember.
Let's damage resolve first to play around Lightning Bolt, but he can't beat a counterspell here.
No, Cryptic Command. He could play around Cryptic, I guess, by just like dismembering before blocks.
That's a bingo square. Counter draw.
Wait, you hit a bingo?
Well, not a bingo.
Okay.
I get a bingo if we activate a desert. Won't be happening in this game.
Okay. That's cool. It's like, yeah.
I mean, they banned the good deserts. Like, what are the odds?
We sometimes see the green one get played. It's not good.
I've been playing the white one, Sheffet Dunes.
Sure. Torrential Gearhulk hits Andrew down to 1. He draws a card. He's got a nice 12/12 for 1 that he picked up. There we go. Perfect. He's played into our trap. He's put us down to 1. Path it. Stubborn Denial. The path. Oh no.
Hard counter.
There's no way he has a... Oh, negate. Okay. Game 2. Ben Stark up 1 game to 0 here. He puts his team on the board by winning that Modern, the first game in Modern. We'll look at some sideboards for the players in just 1 minute. We'll be back with game number 2 of Andrew Jessup versus Ben Stark.
StarCityGames.com Creature Collection presents a Krogan Crusader. Starting in December, get sleeves, playmats, player bundles, and more at go.starcitygames.com/creature collection.
Go. Go.
So we are back here. Going to look at some of the sideboards between the players, starting on Andrew Jessup's side. Of course, I think the main thing he's hoping for here is a better distribution of lands and spells, but he saw those fatal pushes be really poor. What can he do to maybe make his deck more live?
Yes, we have 3 Collective Brutality, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Engineered Explosives, 2 Kolaghan's Command, 2 Liliana of the Veil, 2 Nihil Spellbomb, and it's a Static Caster and a Vendilion Click. The Vendilion Click, pretty good in these kind of control matchups.
Sure.
And then mostly you're looking at this middle block here. Kolaghan's Command, Liliana of the Veil, Nihil Spellbomb. All of these cards are fine. Kolaghan's Command, kind of the best of the bunch.
It seems like the goal of these cards isn't to be great in the matchup, but is to be not
fatal push, not
fatal
dismember.
Push.
Yeah, that's largely what he's looking at.
And I don't think he really wants, he has these Teamer Battle Rages in the main. I'd be surprised if he wants to keep those in also.
Right, not great against this removal spell matchup. Is certainly, as we look at Benjamin Stark's sideboard, he gets more clean answers to Death Shadow.
All right, so Ben Stark's sideboard, he's got 3 Dispel, 2 Celestial Purge. Okay, that's a pretty clean answer. 2 Ruined Halo, 2 Vendilion Click of his own, and some one-ofs, a Detention Sphere, an Elspeth Sun's Champion, that's the 6-mana Elspeth, an Engineered Explosives, a Negate, a Supreme Verdict, and a Wear Tear.
So this is a different story here. This sideboard is great for this matchup. 2 Celestial Purge, excellent. 2 Ruined Halo, also very good. Detention Sphere, that one's a little more expensive, but it certainly plays.
Sure.
Engineered Explosives, also very good. You can reach for Elspeth. It costs a lot of mana, but once it's on the battlefield, it probably just wins the game on its own.
Yeah. We've seen that traditionally when Shadow was big, straight blue-white control got popular, and Elspeth Sun's Champion was their finisher of choice.
Right. Supreme Verdict, clearly very good. You can reach for Vendilion Click in this matchup, actually, with Jessup dealing as much damage to himself as he is.
Yeah, the more he looks like a blue-white control deck, the better this is going to be. I think what comes out like Lightning Bolts and Lightning Helixes, those...
Lightning Helix almost for sure. That one's just like very inefficient. You can convert Lightning Bolt reasonably if Jessup does enough damage to himself.
Yeah, he also has 2 Electrolyzes, which I'd be surprised if he wants those.
Those ones are quite a bit weaker than the other red spells.
One of the things I do like is how this Jeskai control deck, and really Blue in general, has moved toward Logic Knot. A year ago, that was a card which didn't really see play in Modern. And it's become pretty staple in these blue-white decks.
Yeah, it just has more staying power than Mana Leak. Frequently, you'll be Logic Knotting for 4 or more. And then it has, this is a smaller thing, but in the blue mirrors, you can't spell snare it, which is really nice.
Okay. So, starting off again, Andrew will be on the play, but no turn 1 play. Ben will have Serum Visions. Sometimes not always that. We can see things like Fetch, Shock, Thought Scour at the end of the first turn is a pretty reasonable turn 1 for the Grixis deck.
Yeah, turn 2 Tasigur is a nice place to be. Thought Scour enables that.
We'll see Fetch, Shock, and Opt end step here. So Jessup goes to 17. Still builds some of a graveyard. You see a Gurmag Angler in hand. Andrew topped a land, chose to draw 1 there, and then draws Thoughtseize.
Fetch Thought Scour would get him to Angler on this turn. Thoughtseize is not bad.
In this matchup, I think Thoughtseize is good at just about any turn, though, right? There's not that much pressure for him to get it right now.
Yeah, until he's establishing a threat, you don't really need the Thoughtseize. You kind of just want to...
Just want to clear the way for your Angler?
Right. See if the coast is clear. There are some hands where you Thoughtseize them and you just think, oh, I don't know if I can actually win this game. If you see something like Path to Exile, Celestial Purge, Snapcaster Mage, just all those cards.
So he's actually going to lead on Collective Brutality. So that's a desired spell. He's going to pick the Duress mode. And we'll get a look at Ben's hand. He's got Serum Visions, Logic Knot. Of note here, he has no more lands yet. A Celestial Purge he has kept in the Electrolyzes, a Secure the Wastes, a Detention Sphere, and a Cryptic Command.
So Stark has already scryed a card to the top.
Okay, so that's a land, right?
Very high chance that that's a land. Sometimes you want to go for the Serum Visions when your opponent's a little bit landlocked, and to be fair, if this hand does need more than just 1 more land to function, I imagine you're kind of looking at Celestial Purge versus Serum Visions. If you think you can get a threat online on the following turn and fight over some of this stuff and count on Stark fumbling a little bit with his mana, and the Celestial Purge is a pretty good take.
Magic player Sam Castrucci, please come to the side event registration stage.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it's between those 2 cards, though. So we know that Jessup has the Gourmet Angler. Definitely wants to try to protect that. And he goes for the Celestial Purge. You'll probably see Stark lead on Serum Visions here.
And there's the island. He'll actually just pass, so this leaves up the possibility for Logic Knot this turn. Nothing else.
Right.
It does mean that he can't necessarily... He might miss a land drop.
And the land he found was Basic Island, so it needs to be White Source if he wants to cast Detention Sphere.
Yeah. If you're an Anderstat and you have another that Thoughtseize, do you just want to Thoughtseize the Serum Visions? He'll cast Nile Spellbomb.
That plays reasonably against Logic Knot. You can just get in front of it.
Guess you might just get Logic Knotted no matter what you do.
Right. It's not super high impact. You might just let this resolve.
He's going to Logic Knot away the Nile Spellbomb. Now Andrew can Thoughtseize, though. He got the counter spell.
It's fine time to take that Serum Visions
so,
now.
Yeah, he'll leave Ben with Electrolyze, Secure the Waste, Detention Sphere, Cryptic Command. These are spells that want 3, 3, 4, and 7 mana to cast.
And Jessup's not taking any chances. He's just going for the Detention Sphere.
Okay.
Possible he kind of just has Gurmag Angler and not much to back
So he's
it
just
up.
taking the removal spells.
Right. If you have a white source, this hand can't win. It makes sense to go for the Sphere.
Yeah, sometimes you're not supposed, especially if you see no third land from Andrew, you're not supposed to try to get your opponent off lands. Like, it's nice if it happens, but really not necessary. You see, Ben showing some wisdom on Andrew's side. Ben cast Serum Visions this turn, actually drew into a fetch land, and has the opportunity to scry a 4th land to the top. So, good on Andrew for the disciplined play.
Yep. Another Logic Knot was picked up for Stark.
Ooh, okay.
So it might be difficult to actually resolve the Gurmag Angler in the first place. If he has Stubborn Denial in this window, he can actually force spike the Logic Knot, and that's going to be good enough. But then you have to worry about getting Cryptic Command and recovering from that point. Just bouncing the Gurmag Angler can be very effective. Opt here, Jessup picks up another land. Like Death Shadow, Gurmag Angler in the holdings. He hasn't seen a Supreme Verdict in Stark's hand. He might just want to get very aggressive and just get multiple threats on the battlefield.
Gurmag Angler for Andrew Jessup.
He's behind Opt and Thoughtseize, Sorcery Speed Snapcaster Mage, and Instant Speed Snapcaster Mage.
So here's the Logic Knot. It's going to hit the Gurmag Angler. Andrew was hoping to have cleared the way for the Angler, but that didn't happen. We'll see if he has a secondary threat. He's down to 10, so Death's Shadow is live here.
Yeah, he does have a Shadow, and he has paved the way for that.
Yeah, so down to perhaps even 7.
He already knows about the Electrolyze.
Yeah, that's not going to do much, though.
You kind of want to get red source, assuming Kolaghan's commands in the deck.
Yeah, I don't see much of a downside to just getting, yeah, you're going to get one of your 2 shock lands, whether it's Steam Vents or Blood Crypt, and then just go to 7, cast a Shadow.
Yeah, gotta be Blood Crypt.
Okay. Oh, right, he has to,
Right.
has to cast, yeah. Steam Vents doesn't cast Death's Shadow.
Right.
One match already in the books over on the standard table. Dan Jessup 2-0. He is your winner, defeating Rachel Otto. Sultai Energy. These Scarab God Energy decks are looking very good today. They're becoming more popular, and they are winning every time we're having them on.
Yes.
6/6 Death Shadow. Ben will untap. So some pressure now on Ben Stark. He'd really like to get this match for his team. Right now, their team is 1 game away from elimination. If Kevin King wins another game in Legacy, then Ben's gonna set down the cards.
Yes. Stark found 4th land.
All right.
So he can start representing Cryptic Command.
Yep.
It is there.
It's untapped.
Yep. He's kind of got to figure out a long-term plan for the Death Shadow. He can only try to tap it so long. If Jessup untaps and has Stubborn Denial, he can't reasonably even convert that much when it matters.
Plays land and passes. Going back to Andrew, he's got a 6/6 in play. He has another Death Shadow in hand. So he'll start with an attack for 6. It's a 3-turn clock as Ben is at 18. We'll put him down to 12. And we'll see if there's any follow-up here. He knows about Cryptic Command.
This looks a lot like Collective Brutality mana.
Sure. Here is the card. Doesn't really want to escalate it into a Cryptic Command.
Yeah.
2 life not mattering much anyway.
Right, yeah, the non-duress mode's pretty meaningless.
I guess in Death Shadow, you never want to drain them for 2. That's horrible.
Rare. It's rare.
I was like, wait, I don't want to go to 9. That's worse.
He has drawn a second copy of Death Shadow, so he kind of just wants to see if the coast is clear. Doesn't want to get Supreme Verdict.
Yeah.
If he can cast a Death Shadow here, that's a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, and by still... Yeah, I like this. And right now, counter bounce, not an option from Ben. Andrew has black mana untapped.
Right. This is likely to draw out counter draw.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And he's going to just let it resolve.
Seems that Stark's electing to do some chump blocking with some Secure the Waste tokens.
Okay.
He also has a potential avenue to get lethal with Electrolyze plus Secure.
So what's the idea of not casting Cryptic Command here?
Just exactly what I just said. He
So
thinks he can possibly set up lethal or at least buy enough time with Secure.
Oh, do you think we're trying to end step make he's trying to go aggro?
I don't know if he makes the creatures just yet, but you might see the end step Electrolyze. If you can make 4 tokens, that is significantly different. Quite a bit better than 3 tokens.
Yeah, and another Death Shadow from Anders. That's going to take the aggro plan really off the table for Ben. If the thought was making 3 end-step 1/1s, hitting your opponent down to 4, electrolyzing him to 2, maybe draw into a Snapcaster Mage to win, that's off.
You do get to set up a few chump blocks if you secure here anyway. But yeah, you're right. Way harder to convert with beatdowns. And with only so much mana available, it does make some sense for Stark to let the Cryptic go just because he's so far behind on board. If you wait until next turn to secure, maybe you get Stubborn Denialed too.
Three 1/1s for Ben. He still end steps it. Goes to 11. Draw here.
Ooh, that is a nice
is
draw.
That engineered explosives?
I believe it is.
Oh my. Okay, well that's quite the draw. Explosives on 2. Talk about a way to punish not only Andrew playing the second Shadow, but also to leave Ben with the soldiers. It may have been his single best draw there.
Yes.
And Jessup down to 4.
And Stark still has that Electrolyze. That's going to be lethal next turn.
Whoa, okay. From what looks like a difficult situation, Ben Stark may have just drawn his way to victory. Wow.
It's not a lot that Jessup is really even drawing to. He really only has cards that make it so the card he was already holding has to be relevant here. You know, you can make a creature and block one of these tokens, but then just 2 get through and Electrolyze finishes him off.
And yeah, we'll see if he has any plays here. He's thinking about just passing. Yeah, that is the play. He'll pass. Ben swings 3. Here's Snapcaster Mage. Targets, we'll see, probably Opt. I mean, there's a lot of temptation for Ben to just Electrolyze away. Yeah, 1-1. Andrew has no answer. So Ben Stark takes the game here. 2-0. He's your winner in the modern match. A surprise comeback there in the second game. It was a matchup which we know was good. Ben was up in, but it looked like we were going to head to a third.
Yeah, and you really saw the power of the 1x Secure the Waste in these Jeskai decks.
Yeah, he turned around the aggro so quickly on Andrew. So that's going to bring everything over to Kevin King versus Jake Mondello. Kevin's playing lands and Jake's playing Grixis Delver. Remember, this is an elimination match. Both teams are at 3 and 2. So, losing team will be going home. King was your champion last weekend.
Yeah, this is for their tournament life.
This is a fine matchup. Kevin's up a game. Lands usually okay against Grixis Delver.
Well,
And it's fine here too. And it looks like we see a handshake there. A short-lived third match. Big credit to Ben Stark on the match. Well played. Great comeback. But it is going to be the end of the tournament for his team. So they will be going home. For the team of Kevin King, Andrew Jessup, and Dan Jessup, they're at 4 and 2. 3 more wins, and they'll make it into day 2.
yeah, Kevin King looking for the trophy repeat on the weekend.
Yeah.
For the Jessup brothers, they top 4'd last weekend, looking to improve slightly on that.
All right. So that's going to do it for round number 6. We have 3 more matches, and really a lot of these are going to be elimination matches with so many